Have you ever wondered how a narrow waterway in Central America could decide what ends up on your plate in the United States? Meet the Panama Canal, a man-made marvel that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans and carries nearly 5% of all global maritime trade. But here's the twist. What happens if this vital artery runs dry? Or worse, what if a single dam that feeds it collapses? Could that seemingly small event trigger a chain reaction so powerful that it disrupts food prices across America? Well, experts are raising eyebrows, and so should we, because a massive drought, a vulnerable dam, and a fragile global supply chain may be colliding at this very moment. To understand what's really going on, we first need to recognize why the Panama Canal is such a global choke point. Think about it. Over 14,000 ships pass through this canal every year, carrying everything from grain to oil to electronics. For the U.S., this canal is like a shortcut artery, allowing goods from Asia to reach the East Coast in days rather than weeks. More than 40% of U.S. east-west cargo traffic depends on it. Without it, shipments would have to circle the entire continent of South America, wasting time and burning fuel. But recently, something alarming has been happening. The canal is running out of water, and that water comes from Gatun Lake, which has been drying up at historic levels due to prolonged drought. Why is this a big deal? Because the Panama Canal isn't just a trench. It's a system of locks that lifts and lowers massive cargo ships using fresh water, and each transit consumes over 50 million gallons of it. Without enough water, these locks simply don't function. And to combat this, Panama has tried to divert water from nearby rivers. The most notable project in this effort is the Rio Indio Dam, a structure designed to redirect water into the canal system. But here's the catch. This dam wasn't built for extreme climate conditions. With rising temperatures and inconsistent rainfall, experts fear that its capacity is nearing a breaking point. If this dam fails, not necessarily by bursting, but simply by running too dry, it could paralyze the canal's operations altogether. Let's pause and imagine this scenario as a chain reaction. One dam, say the Rio Indio, falls short in supplying enough water. The Panama Canal can no longer accommodate large ships at full capacity. Restrictions are imposed, shipping delays begin, grain exports from the American Midwest get stuck, oil tankers are rerouted around Cape Horn, Asian electronics bound for Florida ports miss deadlines. The result? U.S. Markets see sudden spikes in food prices, fuel shortages in some areas, and supply chain chaos for everything from farming tools to semiconductors. In fact, in late 2023 and early 2024, we already saw previews of this crisis. Cargo ships were asked to carry less weight. Some vessels were denied entry. Waiting lines stretched for days. That wasn't even a dam failure, just a drought. Now imagine what happens if the water source dries up completely. And here's the shocking part. There's no viable backup, no alternate canal, no secret reserve of water, no emergency route that can carry the same load. The world's most powerful nations are silently relying on a single lake, a single dam, and weather forecasts. And yet, this story isn't being talked about enough. Why? Partly because it's not a dramatic one-day disaster. It's a slow-burning crisis, like climate change. Politically, it's inconvenient. The U.S. doesn't want to panic the market. Panama's government wants to protect its $2 billion annual canal revenue. Big corporations are quietly shifting supply routes, so the Rio Indio Dam and its fragile role in global food logistics stays under the radar. But if it gives out, even temporarily, the impact could be loud and global. Of course, it's important to clarify, this is not a doomsday prediction. America will not go hungry overnight. But the U.S. food supply chain is built for speed and timing. Farmers grow crops based on export schedules. Ports operate on just-in-time logistics. Grocery prices are sensitive to transportation costs. If the Panama Canal's flow stops for even 2 to 3 weeks, price shocks are very likely. Perishables rot. Deliveries are missed. Public perception triggers hoarding. And that's when economic instability really kicks in. Let's take an example. If grain shipments from the U.S. Gulf Coast are delayed due to canal restrictions, global buyers might look to competitors like Brazil or Australia. That would mean lower demand for American grain and lower profits for U.S. farmers. But simultaneously, local prices would rise because of reduced supply. It's a lose-lose, all caused by a water shortage thousands of miles away. This is why the Panama Canal, and especially its reliance on the Rio Indio Dam, deserves more attention in today's geopolitical landscape. It's a perfect storm of climate, infrastructure, trade, and silence. What makes it more dangerous is not just the drought or the dam, but the fact that the system wasn't designed to handle both at the same time. And as the climate continues to shift unpredictably, scenarios like these are likely to grow, not shrink. So next time you hear about a drought in Panama, don't dismiss it as a faraway story. It might be the reason your cereal costs $6 next month, or why gas prices shoot up without warning. The world is more connected than we think, and sometimes all it takes is one dam to expose just how fragile that connection really is. What's your biggest takeaway from this? Share it below. If you found this information valuable, please like the video and share it with your friends. And don't miss our next deep dive. Subscribe and hit the bell for updates.